Oh hey viewers! So, this is a race at Fuji, lots of action followed by lots of inaction, so here's another commentated video. So as you can see there, briefly, I was number 2 rated in this room, and it was only worth 180 points. So, I knew that the rooms were a little funky. This is a little lower than I'm normally in, so that just meant that I was pressured to get a good result to get any points that mattered. So we say hi to some people that we've seen before there. And not much happened in qualifying. Just going to show you some clips from qualifying. Here is my first flying lap where I completely screw up heading into $100 into the hairpin. So that was a bad lap, but I got like a 130.7, I believe. Yeah, 130.747. So on my second flying lap, I want to rectify that, and I screwed up my breathing point into turn 1. So that's that lap dead. And then my final flying lap, I'm doing really well. I'm thinking, good, I'll get a good spot. I'm stuck in 12th right now. And yeah, no, I screw it up out of Panasonic, and that was the end of that. So I qualified 12th, as you see there. So let's get to the race start. I was expecting chaos. It's Fuji. Saying start, you see there's someone false starts because I didn't know people use the e-brake. As you hear in Impact, people use the e-brake to get off the line, and this thing overpowers that. So there were false starts. So far clean, right? Thinking it's okay, turning in, and yeah, just absolute chaos. The radar down there, it's like Ace Combat. So let's go ahead and take a look at what happened. So we're gonna jump back to the start here. This gold car is kind of what started it all. They get a pretty good start. Guys in front don't use traction control, and then there's some chaos as people don't start, and they dive up the inside and just don't brake in time and cause the whole pinball effect there. As yeah, it's quite a mess. People are ghosted everywhere. they go from 18th to 6th by doing that. So good for them, I guess. We're gonna go ahead and cut to the pink car now, who loses out completely on this. As you see there, Rip 3 Diamonds does the false start, and Patient Meteor just doesn't get off the line at all. So they're up into 4th now. Looking pretty good for them at this point, but that doesn't last long as, well, yeah, they get just completely shoved wide, and the stewards decided that was completely their fault, and they get a 1-second penalty, because you know how the penalty system in this game is at this point. Just going to show Impatient Meteor here real quick, and you can see they actually just don't start. I don't know what happened, but yeah, and they get a 4-second penalty for that, and we jump real quick to SPL, who brakes and turns in a little early, but then because of that they get in the way of the pinball, and again, just chaos as Crib comes back. They end up driving off the track and to try to avoid it. And it's just all kinds of a mess. You can see they're coming into turn 3. Ashy Wish and Crib have a little coming together, and then with Ashy Wish is on the inside, SPL keeps turning in onto Wish because don't know why. And then Crib breaks a little early, and both Ashy Wish and SPL go into the back of them. So it's just it's all kicking off back there. But anyways, we'll come back to our race here, and we came out of that pretty well as well. I was pretty lucky. I'm in 7th now, 12th, so 5 spots gained. But then the gold car, Jay Leo, just breaks at 100R for I don't know why, and again SR down for that. So thanks man for that. And I decided to dive up the insides. They're going slow. They want to turn in a little more than I was giving them. But you know, at that point, whatever, it's fine. Just a little worried that they might go for a full send because you know, people are a little short-tempered on this game. But we're all fine. And so they apparently tapped you on the rear. I literally did not feel that or hear that when I was driving. Only on the replay when I looked back did I see that they made contact with me. But anyways, another SR down. So that's my second SR down for this race, and it's certainly not the last, unfortunately, because rubbing is not racing in Gran Turismo. I mean, you know, in F1 that kind of makes sense. They have open wheels, so they can't really rub too much, but we got fenders and everything, so it's whatever. But as you can see there, end of lap 1, I'm now 6th place. I'm within the slipstream with a 9 job ahead, and as I look back, there's a giant gap to 7th and below, so can relax a little bit now, and we're going to go ahead and skip to the end of Sector 2, beginning of Sector 3 at the chicane of lap 3, because not much happened after that. Everyone up ahead's on medium tires, which I didn't know until the replay, but we skip ahead here because the 9-Job and Scribbles, they're starting to fight a lot now, and they were pulling a gap on me because medium tires, I'm on the hards. And they just start fighting a lot, and especially through Sector 3. This is a spot where, you know, it's not the most ideal spot to fight because you can lose a lot of time, as you can see there. Like, I've basically caught up to them now. As you can see behind me, there's Josh Benelli behind me, and they're a sizable way back, but I don't want to get held up by these two too much and fall into their clutches. So they're doing a little drafting battle here. I'm just taking their slipstream, but I missed my braking point because I used that little side row as my braking point, but Scribbles was just in the way of my view, so I missed it. And because they were on the outside, that's normally where I'd escape to. Luckily, I dive up the inside because that was the only place I could go, and I just was hoping they were seeing me barreling down like an idiot and I wouldn't end up killing one of them. Luckily they do, so we get out that fine. Josh is now right up on my bumper though because of that mistake, and the 9-Job and Scribbles though, they're fighting it still really hard, so as long as I can pull back up to them, we'll be good. As you can see there, I'm starting to pull a gap again to Josh. It's now up to 6/10, and coming to the chicane, you'll see here that Scribbles gets it all wrong, and they end up going super, super deep, and they actually get reset right there onto the track because of that. So that's 5th place for free for me, and that means that we can continue on. Hopefully the 9-Job will keep going, and I can use their slipstream as a defense against Josh. Right, because you can see there, I'm just at the edge of slipstream range for them, so I want to get into the 9-Job slipstream so that way I can defend better. And so as you can see here, Josh is right in my slipstream still. I'm not in the 9-Job slipstream, so I pull over to the right, go a little defensive, but they get a bad run out of Panasonic because you can see there that the gap was increasing even though they had my slipstream. So I decided to go ahead and go back in the racing line because unless they go for lunge in the Millennia, they're not gonna pose any threat to me. So yeah, just into turn 1, and the 9-Job was a little wide, but Josh is right there on my back, but I take a more inside line so I can focus on my exit a little more, and we're good. So we want to skip ahead now to lap 5, the chicane, because this is where I started catching up to the 9-Job. So it makes sense in hindsight now why they were faster than me, but not now here, because they were on the medium tires, and their mediums are starting to wear out. I'm on the hards, and my hards are still okay. As you can see there, I go from being quite a ways back to right on the rear. So I decide, alright, I'm going to try and make the move in turn 1 because that's a pretty good place. You know, I'm not in a position right now to make the move. So try to set myself nicely for this straight line. They brake. I actually just realized they braked for some reason. I don't know why. But you can see there's a gap to me and Josh. Quicker I can get past the 9-Job, the better. And you can see there just the power of the slipstream. They decided to go a little defensive now. I stay on the outside just because I didn't want to go on the inside and accidentally bump them. And see, I blipped the throttle a little bit because I thought I braked too early, but I think if I didn't do that, I could have gotten this cut back on them, but you know, I didn't. So now we're side by side into turn 3 Coca-Cola, and they just, you know, bumped me wide. So cool, man. Thanks for that. So I lose a ton of time now because they decided to do that. I don't know why, but now you can see that Josh is right on my bumper again, and now there's a big gap to the 9-Job. So it's kind of a reoccurring theme here. But I get a good exit, and as I look back, I see that there's a gaggle of cars behind me, so I know that I can't afford to get messed up like that again or make a mistake. Otherwise, I'm going to drop back quite a few positions. So again, so you can see there, they go wide. They use a little handbrake flick though to correct themselves. So you can see I'm gaining pretty quickly on the 9-Job, and I could tell that the third sector was not their sector at all. So I'm starting to increase that gap again to Joss, and that gap to the 9-Job is starting to come down again. So get a good X onto out nets, try to set myself up well into Panasonic. Josh is in my slipstream, but again, they get a poor exit and they aren't able to capitalize on that. I still go defensive though, but again, they're a little too far back to really try to make any serious move on me at all. So we pull back over to the racing line, so there's no need to defend. Hit our braking point properly this time, and you can see 9-Job was wide, and we go from being, you know, about second back to into their slipstream range. And at this point I know it's game on. We're back in business, and I actually remembered to brake early this time for Coca-Cola, unlike the previous few races I've had. And you can see just how much I've gained on the 9 job. Like their medium tires are completely dead at this point. So Josh is still hanging up behind me, so I can't really relax too much. I can't go fully on attack because I have to. Well, you know, I don't want to think too much about the guy behind, but at the same time, I don't want to start compromising my own race at the cost of, you know, them catching up. So I didn't really stay in the slipstream too much there. I kind of took my own line through the chicanes. I didn't really want to make a move through the chicane. They go wide. I accidentally follow them wide. Don't do that. Big lesson. Don't follow your opponents around. And so again, I decided I'm just going to try to go ahead and set myself well through sector 3, so I can try to make the pass down to turn 1 again, and this time not completely screw up my braking point like a noob. But anyways, you can see there that it's pretty close. Josh is still not giving me. They're still there, can't talk right now. Sorry. 9 job is not pulling away because I'm in the slipstream, and they go into the pit lane. So, and luckily Josh behind me goes into the pit lane. So now I have a nice buffer to everybody behind me, and you can see there that Vader van comes out of the pit lane. So we're going to go ahead and do a little jump cut ahead now, because right now nothing much happens, but you can see that Vader van is about 9 tenths behind. Sorry, I lied, there's no cut. Fooled you. Anyways, and I was thinking, okay, they'll, you know, pass me in sector 3 or something like that, or they'll pass me on the straightaway. And then they just show up right behind me, and that kind of caught me off. I was like, oh crap, they're much faster than me right now. So in hindsight, I probably should have just let them pass me through the chicane, but in my experiences, passes through the chicane don't really work that well, so I didn't want to lose much time myself. I didn't want to hold them up too much either, but I probably shouldn't have defended here as hard as I did, as either I went fully defensive into the chicane, blocked the apex, couldn't let them pass. But you know, in the moment, you can always look back in hindsight and, you know, see what else you should have done. But yeah, I probably should have just let them through, and then would have let them follow. I could have followed them through. See there now, they're just poking their nose up into all the corners because I can't do it. I take the regular racing line. I wasn't going to defend that. Like I said, I was thinking they would pass me at that corner originally, but yeah. So anyways, they get past me. Leaders in the pits. They pull over to the side. And I don't pull over because I had no intention of trying to pass them back, because I knew I would not be able to race against them. So I stay over to the side. They go back on the racing line, so I pull over to the inside just because I don't want to be directly behind them in case I accidentally punt them to death. But yeah, that's all the excitement for that lap. So now is a jump cut. And we're going to go ahead to lap 10 now. So you can see there, Lan has caught up to us, and they poke up on the inside. I give them room, and I kind of realized the folly of that move because I needed to pit at the end of this lap, and I had to go ahead and brake so I could get to the inside so I could get into the pit lane. And I just, you know, decided to casually go into the pits by slamming into the wall as fast as I can, because you gotta get every tenth, you know. You know, Senna said if you don't go for the gap, you're no longer a racing driver. I say that, you know, if you don't slam yourself into the pit wall, you're no longer a racing driver. But anyways, that gave me an SR down. You know, that was actually deserved that time. So, but we come out in 7th place. 8th is not too far behind. 6th is not too far ahead. So we're going ahead and jump to the next lap, and Scribbles and the 9 job are fighting again. So they go pretty slowly into the chicane. They all both go wide. So I take that opportunity to get in front of Scribbles. So the 9 job just kind of parks on the apex there, and Scribbles bumps into me. It's Constantine effect. That's my 4th SR down now with the race. So yeah, I mean that was just an instant. No one could avoid it, but you know, that was dirty according to the stewards. So got my SR down, and but we also got 6th. And I was going to try to make the pass out of this straight through Panasonic, but the 9 job was just so slow at Panasonic. That just completely killed my momentum, and now I'm too close to them to really get a proper slingshot effect. So this time I go on the inside because I'm on fresh racing mediums now. I know I have the grip. They're pinning me to the inside, fair enough, but I'm well, Couldn't tell if I was gaining because that little lag there, but again, because I was on the inside, I missed my braking point. I was using that road. Luckily, I'm able to use the handbrake, and I don't lose control, and we don't lose the position. Scribbles is right beside me. I'm on the inside though for Coca-Cola. I have the grip. I'm not going to give it up. I give Scribbles room on the outside, but I take the position. I keep it because I stay on the inside. They run a little wide. They're on my inside now for 100R. I give them the room, but they kind of back out. And I give them room if they want to stay on the inside, but I was painting them pretty narrow. I stay defensive into the hairpin just in case they want to try and make a move there, but they don't. Well, they weren't able to. I blocked the apex. I get a good run out. Again, I have the grip. Now, I knew my tires might hurt at the end, but at this point, I just need to try to catch back up to the 9 job, and so I decided sacrificing my tires was worth it. And here we are again in the chicane, and they just go extremely slow out of it. And there's my 5th SR down of the race. So, yeah, I'm a filthy, filthy driver, according to Gran Turismo. So, anyways, I decide I can't wait anymore. They're super slow through here. I'm just going to send it the first opportunity I find. In that case, it's going to Panasonic. Again, you see how slow they are on the outside. They try to come back for the cutback. I block the apex. I'm having none of that. I go a little wide, but luckily, I still get a better exit than them. As you can see there, even though they're in my slipstream, they're only barely catching up to me. And luckily for me, 4th place was on a 2-stop strategy, so I thought I was losing 4th place, but in the end, I ended up taking 4th place. And I was worried that they might come back for a late lunge in turn 1, but even though I braked a little early, as you can see there, I end up pulling a big gap, and I'm out of slipstream range, and that was pretty much it for the rest of the race. Nothing else happened, so you can see there my times. I set my fastest lap, and then I started staying consistent about a second slower, and that was just because the gap to me behind wasn't getting any smaller, and the gap ahead wasn't getting any smaller either. So no point overdriving the car, because as you saw in qualifying, I was making a ton of mistakes. So just just bring it home nice and easy. So yeah, I got a 4th place in that race, and I was not expecting that, starting 12th, and in practice races, I was not loving this car that much, so I'm definitely satisfied with this result. But as you can see there, my SR has dropped down to an A, and half of the field has actually gotten SR downs from this race. So it was pretty dirty, to say the least. You can see there all the SR downs. Another person gets a SR down to A. But yeah, so that's the end of that race. And if you like that, comment if you want to leave a comment, subscribe, please, that'd be nice. But you know, I also just kind of do this for fun. But yeah, I will see you guys in the next video whenever that comes out. So, oh bye, viewers.